Back at the end of 2024, I shared a video that talked about the journals that I thought I would use the most in 2025. Today I'm going to run through how I used those 6 journals, but I'm also going to describe to you a few journals that became significant to me during the year. I'm Ruby from The Useful Journal. I do journal reviews and I give you that technical information that will help you choose your next journal. A good place to start is my new course, which focuses on the covers and the paper and how to choose what would suit you best. Other than the technical stuff, I just do a lot of videos talking about how I use journaling every day in my life. Let's have a look at the 6 journals that I thought that I would use the most in 2025. The first was my everyday journal. This has my trackers and my diary. I knew I would start in my Cocoa and Lynn journal and that I would use one with lighter weight paper for the second half of the year. I didn't know this at the beginning of the year, but I ended up having strong themes for both journals. The first was my 150 GSM recycled paper Cocoa and Lynn journal. This was themed around my 50th birthday, with each month celebrating a decade of my life. I love how it turned out, and it's like a snapshot of everything I've ever done. The second journal was my 100 GSM Dingbats journal with FSC certified paper. I decided to test the Atomic Habits method in this journal, having just read Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'm finding the process effective, although the challenging habits are still, well, challenging. I found the colour and the weight of the paper in the Dingbats journal has been a bit limiting for everyday use. This is the journal I most like to decorate, and the warm paper has meant that I've had to stick to warm colour themes, as cool colours just look wrong. The lightweight paper meant that I couldn't do my creative Dutch doors or play around with paper as much as normal, and I ended up sticking to sticker themes. This was fun and interesting in itself, and I've especially indulged in and loved using my washi tape shop die cut stickers. They're super easy to use and look great. If you want to purchase any washi tape shop items, please consider using my affiliate code, which is in the video description. My reading journal was the one that gave me the most joy this year. I've absolutely loved filling it out. It has driven me to read more and to challenge myself to read things I normally wouldn't. It has also driven me to read books I have in my personal library that I've read before, but many of them it's been decades and it's like reading a new book. This is also helping me work out which books could be donated so I can reduce their number. Writing a review makes me think about what I did and didn't like about each book, and in some cases what I learnt, whether it was about the topic or the book or the writing style. I think reading so much and writing reviews has actually inspired me to try writing a book, which is why this month I'm doing the November Writing Challenge. I'm trying to write 1,000 words a day on a novel. For the first half of the year, I was a member of a mental health collaboration on Instagram where we did a decorative page around a quote. I found the quotes were moving away from what was relevant and personal to me, so I ended up leaving the collabs. I have still used the journal to work through some issues I was having at various times this year. This journal has been one that I rely on, but probably didn't get used as much because I moved gratitude to my everyday journal, and I also worked through a few issues in my daily diary. I haven't had much counselling this year because I don't have a local therapist where I am right now, and I do find that I use my mental health journal more when I'm getting therapy because I'm tasked with things to think about and work on. I really like having my useful journal. It's where I plan journal pages, online content, and just note down ideas for the future. It's certainly not a journal I used daily. This journal has some lists that I refer to regularly, like future journals I'd like to review, passwords for my online content stuff, and ideas for online content. It's also useful when I'm planning a replacement journal, for example my reading journal, because I can see the ideas I used and discarded for the previous one, and this gives me fuel for the next one. It saves me having to do the research all over again. I love my board games journal, and while I added to it, it definitely wasn't one of my principal journals for 2025, and that's mainly because of distance. I've moved 2 hours away from my board games social group that I loved so much, and while I've been back to see them a few times, it's been much less often than I expected. I did try to find a local board games group, but it didn't really eventuate. Someone was trying one out, but there wasn't enough interest, and so it fell away. So yeah, I just haven't found that yet. I'm not giving up yet because I do hope to either return to my original board games group or find a new one. Did I do lots of birding this year? Yes. Did I record the birds I saw? Yes. So far in 2025, I've recorded seeing 53 different bird species and many hundreds of individual birds. Did I record the birds I saw in my birding journal? No. Why? Because of the time I knew it would take to sketch and paint a special bird for each entry. I made the journal layout just too difficult. There's too many things that stop me from getting it done. My current intention is to go over my birding lists and choose those that had a new bird that I really wanted to paint and record those in my journal instead. I could also note down the lists of other birds I see just as an entry, but without the artwork as well. It's the artwork that is stopping me from doing this journal. I'll add a postscript here because when I made the video about my 2025 journals, I forgot one very important one, and that's because it's not a paper journal. For work, I actually use GoodNotes on my iPad, and I've created a template to use myself that suits all my work needs. So I do my work journaling on my iPad. Not only do I use my work journal for daily notes, but I also use it to manage my projects and my tasks and my priorities. The best thing about my digital journal and why I use one for work is because the text is searchable, which means that if I need to find something I wrote down in reference to a particular project a few months ago, I simply have to search on that term and it'll bring up all the different places I've mentioned that project, and I can quickly find what I need to find. If it was a paper notebook, I would be riffling through the pages forever. There were 3 other journals that I actually added to my collection in 2025 that I actually ended up using a lot. The first was my Interstitial journal. While I've been a bit irregular in using this journal, when I do use it, it's very helpful. My original intention was to use it at work and at home, but I've found it hard to transition to home because I'm not necessarily sitting at a desk where I can have the journal sitting open in front of me. I'll talk more about this one in my video on my 2026 journal lineup coming soon, because it's going to be key to my 2026 goals. My weight loss journal is another journal that will be central to my goals for 2026. Like many of us do, I started 2025 with good intentions. I began a weight loss program and lost about 5 kilograms before things went pear-shaped and I slipped off the wagon. Well, let's say I probably threw myself off that wagon. I really liked using it and believe it helped so much that I've just started using it again this month, as eating healthier food and snacking less is central to a personal project I'm taking on next year. Just because a journal takes a breather doesn't mean it's a fail. The final new journal I added in 2025 was my wardrobe audit. This ended up being a huge project to reduce the size of my clothes collection. It took a lot of work to create the journal, but this is definitely not essential when doing a clothes audit and cleanup. I just wanted to. It helped me slowly work through what I needed to keep and what I needed to pass on. I'm continuing to note how I'm reducing the quantity of clothes I own. For instance, a couple of weeks ago, I made this skirt from a combination of 3 old dresses and 3 old shirts and a few other scraps, all of which I had decided to throw out because parts of the clothing were torn or stained or just weren't wearable anymore. So, do you have any guesses about which journals I'm going to focus on in 2026? Like this video and subscribe to my channel. Make sure you select notifications because then you'll know straight away when I've released my video about my 2026 journal lineup. See ya!